Hello and welcome to the Farmer's Kitchen. We're the farmers. That's our kitchen.
Yes.
This is really our kitchen. You know, a lot of people have been asking a lot of questions. We're getting a lot of new viewers. One of them is that your real name? It is. It's been my real name since I was born. And the really weird thing about it,
What?
my dad has the same last name.
You are kidding me.
And this gets really weird.
Okay.
His dad before him, same name.
Really? That's amazing. I've never heard of that.
That's the only reason you married me. For
That's
my name
right. I
alone.
like the name.
Another question we get quite frequently, and a lot of times they're statements or questions and they're really bizarre. So we have to address this because we get it so much. What happened to your hand? What's wrong with you? What's wrong? Why are you hiding your hand? First of all, I'm not hiding my hand. I am not able to bring my hand up. Why you wear a glove? Why do you cover your hand? Well, I have to because I have RSD, so if temperature changes, it hurts really bad. Now, for those of you who have been with us way back to the Kentucky field days, 1990s, you know what's going on. But for the new viewers, I feel like I have to say something because we get so many questions.
Right.
1984, United States Marine Corps, hoorah. I was a young Marine. I was on an off-ramp, and there was some little cold, some dust and gravel. I hit that on my motorcycle. It's on my way back to Millington, Tennessee. Under the guardrail, 30 miles an hour, wasn't doing anything silly. Boom, arm almost completely cut off. Now, there was extensive nerve damage. I'm lucky to have an arm. I'm lucky to be alive because I just about bled to death. I found myself in a situation, 20 years old, and I had limited use of an arm. So how am I to hunt and fish and do all the things I love? Guitar picking, like I like to do, was kind of done. So over the years, I learned to do things. Reeling in fish with my teeth, shooting the bow with my teeth, shooting a rifle across my shoulder.
And you're good at it.
In 1989, moved to Frankfurt, began my career with the Department of Fish and Wildlife. That led to being around a bunch of people who like to hunt and fish. And a lot of these people were involved in archery competitions. I like the sound of that, but I couldn't shoot a bow. How am I gonna do this? So I figured out with the help of a buddy of mine, Billy Bob Mitchell. He figured out, he saw out west there was a guy shooting a bow with his teeth. He had a leather strap on his bow. Well, I'd shot a bow my whole life, so all I did was put that strap on there, pull it back, released. I was in business. So I liked it so much that I practiced all the time. Next thing you know, I'm winning tournaments, a lot of tournaments. And as the host of Kentucky Field left for greener pastures, they looked at me and decided maybe I should try for that. I did. The last day they were putting in resumes, I put it in and was lucky enough to have that job. And was host for Kentucky Field for 21 years.
Wow.
That being said, that's what happened to my hand.
I thought it was a clogging accident.
I'll tell you that story someday. All right, now we talked about the fact that I used my teeth to shoot a bow. Now you saw our show last year where we cooked on the ground, we made a buoy base, and we used fresh fish.
You had fun.
Now, down in Florida, tilapia are everywhere. They're not supposed to be there. They're not a native species, but they can overwinter because of the warmer water temperatures. Here's me with my bow. Nicki was just laughing and carrying on, and here's me with my bow shooting some tilapia. Big tilapia, up to 8-9 pounds.
They were huge.
So we cleaned massive amounts of fish.
Yes, we did.
And we found in our freezer some tilapia.
We still have a couple bags.
Now that's really good tilapia. You want to cut that red meat out because it's a little strong. But tonight we're going to make a very simple recipe, a very country recipe. You could use catfish for this. You could use just about any kind of fish for this. Bluegill, bass, largemouth bass would be really good with this.
Oh, yeah.
Now this is Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen.
That's right. Like my apron?
I do, I like it a
Thank
lot.
you.
Last week we cooked Chinese food.
That's right.
The week before that we cooked German food.
It's not your country.
We're going full Southern cooking today. So we've got some simple stuff that we do, but you know what? It changes every time we do it.
Yeah.
Now this is going to be different from the last time we did it, but here's a little secret. When you're making your navy beans, I love navy beans, use your pressure cooker. Your countertop pressure cooker that everybody's using nowadays. Put your beans in a pan, rinse them off, get the shells and everything off. When you do that, just put them in the pressure cooker, cover them with water, enough water, 2 hours to make sure they're good and done. I've already taken these out. So what happens with a process that used to take 4 or 5 hours, you got it done in almost no time. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take some yellow sweet onion, Here's our tilapia. What I'm gonna do is put some blackened seasoning on there. Probably got, I've never measured this, but I probably got 2 teaspoons in there. So I'm gonna come back with my buttermilk, make it a little marinade, I guess you could say. I like to soak my fish, frog legs, critters like that. Sometimes tilapia can be a little strong. So I'm gonna let that soak for at least an hour, hour and a half. So if you don't have buttermilk, what would you do?
I don't know. What do you do?
You could take you a cup of milk and put a tablespoon of vinegar in there. Stir it up, let it set for about 5 minutes. It'll curdle it,
Yeah.
and it's a very good substitute for buttermilk.
Really? I heard lemon too. Could you do a
You
lemon?
can use lemon too,
lemon.
and then you can just drink it.
Really? You drink that then?
4 or 5 gallons at a time.
Oh, that sounds yummy.
Yum.
Yeah.
Now, as far as my beans, seasoning my beans, when I cook them in chicken broth. Even though I use pork for seasoning, I like the chicken broth. Much better than a beef broth. You could do a pork broth as well. Now, I cook them with onions too when I cook them in a pressure cooker. A lot of times the onions will almost disappear.
Right.
You can't have too much onions
I agree.
in soup beans. And you know what?
How many of these do you want?
Let's put at least half of those. We'll put the rest in the greens.
What do you think? A little more?
A little more.
All right.
So seasoning the beans. So what we're doing here is really taking away a lot of your time from having to let your beans set and cook.
Right.
Typically, I'll take my dry beans and I'll rinse them, put them in a pot, cover them, bring them to a boil and let them set for an hour.
Yeah.
Now that water will go down and then you pour that off. Then you have to cook them for another 3 or 4 hours. This really lowers your time.
Right.
So at that point, another important flavor we want to impart is smoked ham hocks. So if you'll cut me some of those ham hocks up,
I will.
just in a little chunks. You can cut each one of those into 3 or 4 pieces, and then I'll do. Let me see how much that is. Oh, that's beautiful. So that's going to cook down rather quickly, and that flavor, that smoked ham hock flavor, it makes your beans. So we got some salt that's going to come off of that. I want to put some chicken bouillon cube in there. And we'll taste this as we go along. We don't want it to get too salty. I'm gonna put at least 1 in there. See where that takes us. Obviously, some black pepper. You like a lot of black pepper.
I like pepper.
And let's let that go for a little while and see where we end up. Now, something else we just happen to have. Some collard greens, some mustard greens, and some kale. Yum.
Yes.
So here's where we're gonna start that. So how do I start my greens?
Bacon grease.
Bacon grease. Now a lot of that is out of our bacon. Okay, so with our greens, and this recipe may change tomorrow, it depends on what we have around. Nikki, if you'll drop those
These onions?
beautiful yellow sweet onions in here. Oh, listen to the sizzle. So that's a little over a half of a yellow sweet onion. We're gonna saute that in there, let those flavors get going. That's a pretty good start to any recipe right there.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Now watch your beans. You don't want them to lose their juice, and as they cook, as it heats up, we may add a little bit more. Now a lot of people like a really thick bean soup. Some people put cornstarch in there. I just like to cook them until your spoon can almost stand up. Now, I had a friend who we've talked about before. His name is Harry. He used to have a restaurant.
Remember that.
Downtown Frankfurt. He was amazing with his greens.
Everything was good in there.
And I said, man, can you give me a secret to your greens? Because I would go in there, you know, sometimes he'd have rabbit. If I knew he had rabbit, I'd call down there to see if he had rabbit.
Yeah.
And he had the best catfish anywhere. And I would say, what's in your greens? He says, not what's in it, it's what kind. I said, come on, Eric. I said, just let me know. And he'd smile at me. He'd say, it's vinegar. But he wouldn't tell me what kind. And it also had just a little taste of sweet in there.
You figured it out?
He finally told me.
Okay. He
one
told
day.
you?
I think it was after his restaurant shut down. So as I do this, Nikki's gonna break down our greens over there. Again, mustard, collard, and kale. I love me some mixed greens.
We're using all this?
Using all of it. It cooks
Okay.
down
It will
so
cook down
much.
already.
But think about this. Balsamic vinegar and red wine vinegar. that combination with just a little bit of brown sugar, I'm telling you what, it's
Delish.
unreal. So now I'll probably put 3/4 of a cup of chicken broth in there. And I'm gonna go ahead and put a couple red pepper flakes, probably half a teaspoon.
You just want these cut up, right? To bite-sized pieces more?
Yeah. And just a tad brown sugar. So now once this gets boiling, these are gonna cook down really quickly. And it's just us tonight.
That's about half of it.
Put a little bit more chicken broth in there. So we've taken about, I would guess, 4 or 5 cups of greens. Now that really cooks down, as you know. So all told, we're probably gonna use 2 cups of broth here. Bring that to a boil and we'll start to cook down.
I got one less little pan.
Be surprised, you'll really be surprised how much this cooks down.
That's the end of it. That's all that in one pan.
All right. Now I have left over just a little bit to get my brothy flavor. And I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of chicken bouillon cube in there.
Yummy.
Just because it's sitting there looking at me. And there's a few more red peppers in there.
Be careful.
All right, now we've got those ham hocks just sitting there. So we're gonna take that and we're gonna cut it in even smaller pieces.
Small pieces? Okay.
Yeah. Ham hocks for beans, ham hocks for greens. Oh, that rhymes. Yeah, it's perfect.
All right, you ready for them?
So now we're gonna take a handful, a Nicki handful of
Yeah.
ham hocks and put in there because can't get enough ham hocks. Now watch our greens here. Watch the color change into deep,
Nice
dark,
deep.
beautiful.
And it's about halfway down already.
And it's about halfway down.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna turn it down now because it's violently boiling. Now I'm gonna come in with probably a tablespoon and a half of balsamic vinegar. Then I'm gonna come in with just a little bit of red wine vinegar. You can use white vinegar or you can use apple cider vinegar, it'll work. Now, something I'm gonna get right now so I don't forget it. Last year we did a green tomato relish. What do you say? Yum papa.
Yum papa, that was delicious.
We get some of that. Now, if you watch our show, you've seen those sitting up here for a long time.
Get to open
The
one.
numbers are going down though, so I'm
right.
gonna set those so I won't forget. Now you can use chow chow, you can use green tomato relish. That's what we're gonna use in these beans.
All right.
So our beans are cooking down nicely.
I took a taste. They're delish.
They're not bad, are they?
They're really good, yes.
Now you could put your ham hock in your countertop pressure cooker,
Right.
but I prefer to bring them out and then pull all the flavors in so you can adjust accordingly as you go along. And we're almost there on these. Greens are cooking down nicely. Now, let's talk about fish batter. Every time you see me do a recipe, it's gonna be different.
Right.
Because that's one of these things that change, and it just so happens, maybe we'll have white bolted cornmeal, maybe we'll have yellow
Right.
unbolted, you just don't know. Right now we have yellow bolted. Bolted means it's sifted to a fine mix. I'm gonna take 1/3 of a cup of flour, all-purpose flour. Anytime that we do a recipe and we have flour and it doesn't say anything different, it will be all-purpose.
Right, all purpose.
We'll specify if it's something different, but for the most part, it's all-purpose
use.
flour. All right, I'm gonna start to heat this up slowly, our peanut oil.
Okay.
I've got just enough oil in there to where it comes up on the sides a little bit. Think about having a fish fillet in there. When you make a fish batter, have you noticed that you've got to season it a lot
Right.
to get any benefit from that when you have this? So this may seem like a lot, but one of the things I want in my flavor profile for a fish batter, and this is a Cajun-ish batter, I want a lot of garlic. I'm gonna put in on the front end. I'm talking
That's a lot of garlic.
tablespoon and a half.
Yeah.
You really need to bring that out
Give it good flavor.
to bring that flavor out. Now something else is you can do a Cajun mix. And I'm gonna use about a tablespoon and a half to 2 tablespoons on
Making
that.
that hot?
And it's not gonna be that hot. I think you'll
I like it.
Now you can smell that. It smells pretty good. Now there's something you can do if you choose to do so. Now obviously we gotta put some salt in here. I'm gonna do about a half teaspoon of salt. Maybe a teaspoon. Depending on what you are able to do on the salt end. You mix that up. If you like it, take you some smoked paprika.
Oh yeah, I like smoked paprika.
That gives you a nice flavor in there as well. That's probably about a half a teaspoon. And if you want to step it up a batch, you want it really hot,
No, but you do, don't you?
you can put some more cayenne in there. One more thing I'm gonna put in here is probably half a teaspoon of onion powder.
Let me smell that. Let me smell it.
See what you think.
That smells good. It does smell good.
Now, a lot of people say 350, 375. I don't go that high. I've said this a million times.
Right.
You don't want to go past 375. You can burn your oil and you just have a terrible taste to it. So you got to keep a close eye on it. All right, last minute here, I'm going to put just a little more Cajun seasoning in here because I want to make sure that flavor comes out. And we've got a lot of garlic in here.
Now, when you were catching the tilapia, I have a
Shooting the tilapia.
shooting the tilapia. I have a favorite picture of you that I love.
At this point, I might have needed a haircut, I think.
No, I liked it, and I love that picture of you with the fish. That's my favorite picture.
These were big tilapia.
Yes,
now,
they
I was
were.
holding this out in front of the camera, obviously.
Yes. I made
but he
it-
was still attached to the arrow.
Right, I made it into a puzzle for Mom because I thought it was so funny. I love it.
Oh, the beans are looking good. The beans are cooking down, thickening up. So the fish
The marinating.
is beautiful, ready to
Yes,
go.
it is.
Now, the one thing about this tilapia, when you clean it, it tends to want to separate into two pieces. So keep that in mind when you turn it over. What I'm going to do is just take it directly out of that buttermilk and seasoning. Make sure it's got a good little coating on it. All right, so take our fish, plop it in
Yum.
there.
That already looks beautiful.
And that buttermilk is a nice little agent to keep the batter on.
We might have to go back and get some more tilapia.
Yeah,
I'm
you know
thinking
what?
This is good stuff.
I tell you what, I've never had so much fun in my life.
We need more of this.
Yeah,
This looks so
and you know what the
good.
good thing about these tilapia? They're not farm raised somewhere and in questionable circumstances. These are absolutely organic.
Of course, I couldn't get you out of the boat. I was in the boat for like 12 hours.
It
You
was
wouldn't
tough
leave.
to stop.
I know you couldn't stop.
When you see them moving through the water and you know that you've got that much good eating right there in front of you,
You slept good.
I did. Total cooking time on this ought to be about 5 minutes or less. You want to make sure it gets cooked all the way through, obviously. That's handy, guys.
Kelly, thank you. That's perfect. I mean,
Now
that's,
look at this little fish grabber.
I love that. Kelly gets you great gifts.
Kelly got me that, and it works perfectly.
Yes, it does. Ooh,
Because
that
you
looks
got to
so
hold
good.
your fish together. These are beautiful.
Here they are.
You walk away, you can get a 20-degree difference in
Burn
just
your
a matter
fish,
of
yeah.
seconds. This is getting close. Golden brown,
That looks so
beautiful.
good.
These
And
were swimming around in Florida not
Yes, they
too long ago. Again, total cooking time about 4 or 5 minutes.
Those look so good.
When you notice the bubbles starting to die down, you know you're getting there. Now this recipe too is awful good with catfish. Just saying, is exactly what I had hoped for.
Can I put that in the oven?
You can, just put that on warm because we got one more thing. We can't take this oil and not take advantage of it and do something with it. Now our beans are cooking down. You see how they're thickening up? Oh my.
That
You
looks
kidding
so
me?
good.
All right, you have taken some potatoes. You cooked some potatoes earlier and you shredded them.
I shredded them. I cooked them for about 10 minutes and then chilled it so I could shred them. Or you could buy your own. You could just buy
You
shredded.
can use frozen and let it
Right,
thaw.
let thaw.
Now, what is that?
That's about 2 cups
2
of
cups.
potatoes. I've got a tablespoon of flour.
All right.
I'm gonna sprinkle that in. And I have got some chives. And I'd say, how much you say that is?
I'd say that's almost a tablespoon.
Almost a tablespoon. And why don't you see, what would you like in it for seasoning?
I'll
Salt
tell
and
you
pepper.
what, I'm going to put a little bit of garlic powder.
Perfect.
You know what? Let's
Yeah.
put 2 pinches of garlic powder in there. Let's put a little more. You can't do enough on the onions. Let's just do a little more onion powder.
We're actually making tater tots. We didn't even say what we're making. Tater
Kind of
tots.
making a tater tot-ish
Yeah.
thing. And we still got some, what do you think? We still got some smoked paprika
Okay,
left.
wonderful.
That won't hurt anything. Uh-huh.
And I'm kind of jamming these in here to make it into a little, this is like a little melon ball. This is what I do my melon balls in the summer. And it's making perfect little, what do we call these, little tater tots?
Yeah, you know, they're close enough to tater tots. Tater balls.
These are our little tater balls. You got to have taters with your fish.
Nicki tater balls.
There you go.
We did Tim Shrimp, so this is Nicki tater balls.
Okay. You know, and this is helping by me jamming this in here like this. It's making it kind of come together
Stick
a little
together?
better. Yeah, keeping it together the best we can.
Nobody likes fried potatoes, though.
No,
Nobody would eat that.
I'll eat these if you guys eat the fish.
All right, we're going to take just a minute to clean up here. We're gonna come back with what I think is just a classic, beautiful Southern Kentucky
Yay.
plate of food.
Yay.
Ready?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna take our green tomato relish, stir that up on our beans.
That's good relish. I had a little bite of that.
It is good. We just made that last year. All right,
Ready?
see what you think. Is that country or
Oh,
what?
that's really good.
Try your greens there.
So I get to try everything?
We don't have to put any vinegar on our greens, and it's subtle. It's not overwhelming. It's not too tart.
You got to try it. That's good.
Which one?
Both
You know,
of them
let
are
me try both
delicious.
real quick.
Those are delicious sides. You outdid yourself on those. Isn't that good?
You know what? It's weird how you taste something that throws you, and right, no doubt about it. My grandfather,
Made that?
he put, no, just the relish. I thought about
Okay.
Papa Harlan.
Makes you
I
remind
don't know
you.
why.
Okay.
That's funny how food
Remind you of
makes
something.
you
The
think of
smells.
something.
You can do it. Isn't that good? That's some good greens. Delicious.
That's as close to Harry's as you can get.
That's delicious.
All right, can I try one of these? You've already
can.
eaten 4 of them.
They're almost all gone. Kelly ate them all.
Call these Nicki's Tater Tumbleweed.
It looks like a little tumbleweed, doesn't it?
You know what it is? It's like a bunch of shoestring French fries that you can grab in your hand and eat all at one time.
It's got a good flavor though. All the different flavors in it.
Now the star of the show.
A little bit of fish.
Look how white and flaky that is.
Oh, it looks so good.
I'm gonna use my fingers because I'm gonna dip that in our tartar sauce. Now our tartar sauce is simply mayonnaise and our green tomato relish.
Oh, that's good. Your coating is amazing. I like that. I don't even want dip. I just want to taste that fish.
Yeah, I believe I'll eat most of this.
Oh my goodness.
Look at that.
I think we need to go
look.
fishing.
Look how I didn't overcook it,
No.
but it's perfect.
Look how perfectly white too.
Believe it or not, our half hour is almost over. If somebody was to come up to you and say, Mrs. Farmer, where would I get your recipes?
I'd say timfarmerscountrykitchen.com.
And if you go there, you will find 20 gazillion recipes.
That's a lot of recipes.
Entrees, soups,
Oh, yeah.
salads, the whole deal. And we do have a Facebook page.
Yes.
Oddly enough, it's called Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen, but it's extremely difficult. How would you get on there?
You hit like. I know, it's really hard.
You know what? This is not that we're ringing our own bell, but it's really good. I don't want it to get any colder, so we're going to say it's all about
Good times
good friends.
and good eats. We got to eat.
We'll see you next week with a brand new Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen.
Your fish is good.
Want to go back to Florida?
We should.
I think we should.